that's my Rail 200 build finished. I'm not finishing it in this episode, but I am continuing on it. So why don't you come see how I got on and how the boy got on with his Rail 200 build. This is the goods shed, or the lockup, now completed. So I'll be honest, I can't remember when I last showed you what I was doing. Possibly the platform, which I've now painted up. So I've just picked out the brickwork, done a mortar wash on it. We've added some steps, because I was going to have a ramp, and then I was going to have a big set of steps, and then had another look and saw that you sort of have a wooden sort of totem ladder on the side. So that's all there. And then this is the main lockup here. It's not attached yet. I still need to do some interior detailing. As you can see inside, I've weathered the wood. We've got the doors, and I've modelled them open. We've got hinges on there. We've got bolts. There's a door handle. You can just about see it. Put it in the light. There we go. Guttering on the back. Drain pipe. More doors. So yeah, really pleased with that. Looks pretty good. As I say, it just needs some interior detail. I can put a little light in there, I think, to go with the rest of the model, because I plan to light it up. And yeah, that's good to go. So the next job then is the station area. I've been playing around with it. Now, it was originally going to be from here to here, but I realised that didn't really work, because lining the coaches up with the platform meant that the loco was pretty much sitting in front of the signal. Driver's cab's kind of in line with it. I think in steam days it was acceptable to allow the front of the loco. I know sometimes they'd start beyond the signal, but it blocks the points, and then that kind of defeats the purpose of allowing a freight train to come into this siding maybe and letting one go if you wanted to be a bit more flexible with the working. So to put the train a bit more further back and the right position for the signal, I've extended the platform this way, which means that this walkway here wouldn't really work as a barrier crossing anymore, but I have seen it on platforms where they have crossings and there's like steps built into the platform, so someone would climb down the steps and cross the track that way. It was safe to do so. So I'll probably model it like that. So I've extended out where I'm going to put the platform. I've decided that the building will not go there, it will go here. And one of the reasons is because I've been looking at the layout old Parrock, which has been quite inspirational for this. It's been a very useful layout to sort of look at and get ideas, but it was starting to look a bit too much like old Parrock. For the position of buildings all seem to be in the same place. So I was just missing a water mill, I think. I was even considering calling the layout Old Parrot, just because it looked a bit more like it. In fact, I may still stick with that name just because it's a bit more amusing. So I decided not to have the station building there. I'm going to have it here, this side. Opens up this area a bit more, I think, for a bit more modelling, and closes this area off because I wasn't really sure it was going to go here anyway. So that's what I've decided to do. I've took some greaseproof paper, I've drawn out the shape on it, cut it out, put it on some cardboard, and here I am with the card all cut out. I'm going to make it a wooden platform. So I'm just marking out where all the planks will go, and then I'll scribe them in. And here is the platform built. So it's just mount board scribed with all the planks put into it. Then I've just finished off the edges with a bit of thin card, again scribed to look like planking all around the edge. And the framework is just a mixture of balsa woods I've built up to raise the station, which I think works quite effectively. I did scribe the bottom off the card because I thought you'd be able to see it, and then when I put it on I was like, oh, you can't. The only bits you can see are those edges there. The ramps were rebuilt because they weren't quite long enough when I made it, so but they're looking good now. So it goes on like that. I'm quite happy with how that's turning out. I like the fact that it is see-through underneath, sort of, you know, I think if it was brick it may have dominated the scene too much and sort of made it feel really crammed. So yeah, that just then needs painting, and it's a case of adding on the station building, and then I'll probably need some fences and look at some form of lighting for it as well. So, but it's a start. I wasn't the only one working on a station.
Okay, so I've got some Yoo-hoo glue, and I've cut out some strips. So I'm going to glue these strips onto the Hornby platforms like that. So first bit is going to be the hardest bit, because I've got to get it onto a ramp without getting it onto the side. So I've put the glue down now. So I'm going to put the platform bits on that we're going to hide, but the fact that there's no bit on this and this. So that's what I'm doing. For a second. So now I'm done with that side. Glue on, so I'm going to just stick it on there nicely. That's good.
Whilst Lenny got his platform completed, I was still working on mine. Right, I've painted and weathered the platform now. It's come out all right. I'm sort of trying to get a bit of a worn wood look. Darker in the areas where the foot traffic would be. Everyone came off the train. Probably walking into this area here, be the waiting area on the station building when I get around to it. And then yeah, we'll probably have the ramp down here and people go off in this direction. That's the plan anyway. I may have some steps here, and it just may need to be a little bit of weathering in this corner, but we'll see. We'll do the station building next and plan it from there. And here we have the station building. So it's pretty much the same design as that, but obviously for a station building. I had a little think about how I was going to do things. I say a little think. An afterthought is probably the more correct term. I'll get around the coaches there. Again, see, this is an afterthought of just the filming. I've got the coaches in the way, so you can't really see in. Originally, I was going to have like the back sealed up. It was going to be a waiting shelter on this side, and maybe not as wide. I started making it, and then I realised that there's actually nowhere for the staff to go to the toilet because the signal box is far too small, and I can barely fit what's in there. There isn't even a chair for the signalman to sit on, which is quite against RMT rules, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, it's occurred to me that yeah, there's no toilet. So I'd already cut this building out to shape. It was too late to sort of add that in, so there's the toilet there. Just a little hut down on the ground. I just need to add some guttering, the downpipe to the toilet, the downpipe to the station building, and that's all done. So you've got steps coming up. I couldn't decide which way to come in to the station, but I decided to go this way in the end. I'm not sure why I made that decision, because I've got all this lovely area here. I think I just want to make this scenic, but I'll take the roof off, which I can do at the moment. And you see, I've also done the interior inside. So there's lots going on in here. So we've got the ticket office. Where you buy your tickets. I put the block bell there. I'm not quite sure what the block bell's doing there. It just looked like it would work. Maybe it's a stamp or something. I don't know. There's also an indicator. So I had a spare indicator, so I'll use that for the till or the ticket machine. We've got a little breakout area. I've got a cupboard here, which is also hollow because that will allow the wires for the lights to pass through. And I've built a stove, and you can just about make it out. There's a clock on the wall there as well. That's actually a brake handle from a kit, just painted up as a clock. So that's the station pretty much done, as I say, apart from those few little extra bits. Add the light, downpipe, etc. I've also built table and chairs to go in here, and so there's the chair there. Table, I say built the table, I just took a 3D printed table and glued it in, and then there's another stove there, a bit blurry on the camera. You see that's all in place. So I just need to, for this one, just add a chimney pot for the stove, and then some detailing parts of stuff that would be in the store, coal sacks and boxes, etc. Otherwise, I'm pretty much there. The signal box is going to need repainting to match the red brownish colour of the other buildings, but apart from that, buildings are done, and I can start moving on to the scenery. And whilst I was planning to move on to scenery, Lenny had already started his. His first job was to create some trees. He got these very rubbish looking trees. They look like bottle brushes basically, supposed to be pine trees, sprayed them brown, and then added a little bit of static grass to give them a bit more realistic look. Some people knock the puffer bottle for static grass, but as you can see, it does have its uses. This was just the first pass with the puffer bottle. The process would be to add some static grass, add a layering glue, add some more static grass, until the trees looked a little bit more fuller. Whilst the glue on the trees was allowed to dry, Lenny moved on to the front of the layout, putting down a layer of PVA glue before adding some base scatter. The scatter was just some fine turf from Woodland Scenics put onto the ground as a base covering. He'd later go over it with some static grass. With the front covered, he moved on to the hillside around the tunnel mouth. A slightly more tricky procedure, as he had to make sure that he didn't get any glue on the tunnel mouth itself, otherwise he'd ruin that lovely brickwork he'd painted. With the scatter applied, the next job would be to add some more static grass, and out came the puffer bottle again, although it was made redundant for the hillside when we got the proper tool out. The puffer bottle's okay, but you can't beat a static grass applicator, and this one's one of the best ones on the market, I believe. I like it anyway, it's pretty good. Next job then was to add the trees. As you can see, those pine trees look a lot more fuller and thicker than they had before. Further trees were added, which were leftovers from his previous OO gauge layout. They'd been taken down some time ago, so it'd been replaced by an N gauge layout, which is now being replaced by a TT gauge layout. We'll get it right one day for him. With the trees in place, then he moved on to a bit of shrubbery and started to disguise the edge where the hillside met the sky and blends it quite well. Moved on to more finer details, including a bit of weeds and foliage growing on the canal footpath. More foliage was added to the hill, this time in the case of knock forest undergrowth, which is just a big bag of moss. It's very useful. His next job was then to add some walls to separate the meadow where the cows will go from the running line. You don't want cows on the line, they cause no end of trouble. time for me to make my own trees, although my method would be slightly different. But first, the water crane. So I've put the lights in the buildings, and also one of the other jobs I needed to do was get this water crane to work. So here we are. You can now fill your engine up. So again, it's just on the little lever under there. And if I take the loco off, and I'll pause the video. There we go, right, and this is the mechanism. It's just essentially 2 lolly sticks that just turn that lever there. That's how the water crane moves around. So, with that done, I think I can put the buildings on, bar the station, because I need to get some lights for the platforms. And yeah, they can all be secured down. I can start painting the ground, I suppose, and probably paint the ground first, then put the buildings on. That's probably a better plan. Isn't it great what a coat of paint can do to a scene? So there we are. I've got a base coat on the boards now, and you can roughly see how everything's going to go. I just need to paint some paths at the front for where you're going to have a path to the signal box and a path from the station. But otherwise, this is roughly the idea. I'm still playing around with this house. I'm not quite sure where to put it. A bit closer to the road, a bit further back, maybe have a tree here, or maybe a couple of trees behind it. So, not sure where that's going yet. I mean, I do like that house. I don't really want to abandon it, but I still do like the idea of the traction engine up there working away with some chopped logs and that, making firewood for the winter. But that house was a lot of effort, so I'll probably keep the house. What's that traction engine parked up in front, maybe? We'll see. It's going on there somewhere. So there we are. Yep, all painted up, and also have added a lever handle for the water crane. So there we are, and we can water our engine. So that's pretty much ready for scenics then. Thank God for that. Right, I want some trees on this diorama because it's supposed to be kind of like a railway at the end of a woods, which is why the traction engine is there, because it's going to be loading wagons with logs and firewood, etc. So that's the idea of that. So I've got some trees now. I was going to make some of my own with wire and sort of covered in plaster and foliage, all that. But I've got this realistic tree kit. And as you can tell by the price, I've had it for some time because I don't even get it at that price anymore. And it's okay. They come as a 2D injection moulding, and then you have to twist the arms round to make a more realistic looking tree. It's still a bit unrealistic, but once the foliage on there, I think I'll be all right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some sea moss, sea foam. I can't remember what it is. I think it's sea foam, isn't it? Cut little bits off that and add them to the trees just to make a few more branches. And hopefully that'll improve the look of them. Okay, here are my trees, or 3 of them. The larger one I haven't done because once I've added the sea foam to these trees, it's obviously made them a lot bigger, and all of a sudden there isn't as much space. So I would have liked to have this larger one, but there's not really anywhere for it to go. So it's out. But these 3 are staying in. I'm quite pleased how that's turned out. I think it looks a lot more realistic than the previous sort of plastic moulding, and feels more tree-like now. So next job is to spray paint them. So I've got 2 tones of brown. I'm going to go over them with that, and then probably just use some dry brushing highlights. And here are my completed trees. I'm very pleased with how they've turned out. I've got one more to do. So this one's just sea foam. Just going to be a smaller tree, and as you can see, that white glue on there, this is Scatter Grip by Deluxe Materials. It's a bit like, I think it's tacky glue or whatever it's called. It's the same principle. You put it on, leave it for half an hour, let it dry. It stays tacky forever, especially when you get it on your skin. It's almost impossible to wash off, as I discovered yesterday. And then you just get the foliage, and I sprinkle it on. I then use a scenic spray on the top, then build up a couple more layers, just get it a bit thicker looking. The other alternative is using these foliage mats. This was what this one's covered in. So again, covered it in the scenic scatter grip, and then just teased out the mat, stretching it out and putting it on the tree like that. And I think it works quite well. So yeah, I've got 5 done. I've got a little one over here, just because I felt this might be a bit barren, this area here. It's a bit of a spindly looking tree, but it'll be all right, I'm sure. And then the other one I think I'm going to put here. So yeah, I'll do that tree, and then I've bought some DAS clay, and I'm going to start building up the ground around the station, and try and get rid of this flat surface. Well, I think that'll do for this episode, and hopefully you've enjoyed it again as we continue with our Rail 200 build. As I say, they're both finished, so you know this series will come to an end. In fact, the boy is very, very close in the sequence of events going on in these videos. I don't think I've got much more footage left to show of him working on his build before it's done. I've still got a little way to go, but hopefully you've enjoyed it and you'll want to come back next time. So if you do, click that subscribe button to make sure that you don't miss out, the bell icon to make sure you get it first, and if you've liked it, then click the old thumbs up as well. Any comments are always appreciated, and hopefully I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. Look at all these lovely videos. There's plenty to choose from.